I really need to stop eating these. We made, what are the Americans called? Cupcakes? Muffins? Fairy cakes? Fairy cakes. It's a fairy cake. If you don't like it being called a fairy cake, it's a fairy cake. Although this is a bit more, I don't actually know what this is that I'm used to. I've got to stop eating these. I'm going to become a fat bastard. Just watch how I get all of this over my face, and it's going to be yes, so good. See, normally I'm not used to but you know, whatever. If I end up with a face full of food, it's been a weird day. Weird day. I don't know. We caught a benzel. Mouse. Really cute. Put it up top of the garden. Muffins. Had a fantastic cooked dinner. And then watched a documentary about assisted suicide. Don't ask. Just a random choice by the wife. And she said if I ever decided to go for it, she's cool with the idea. And I said, sweetheart, I couldn't do that. Couldn't afford it. Was it like, I was under the impression that going to one of those places in like Switzerland or whatever was going to cost an absolute fortune. Apparently it's only $7,000. But $7,000 is still $7,000 I haven't got. So, no, it was interesting because it's illegal to do so in the UK, assisted. And I remember we watched a documentary years ago with Terry Pratchett, who was very big on the right to die. But you cannot do it in the UK. And it's like, it should be my choice. He ended up being diagnosed with dementia, and he went through this journey of seeing how people go about it. Going to places like Dignitas and that. Talking to people. I said, don't ask, I've never gone into it, but talking to people, and there's this one lad who had motor neurone, and he decided he would go maybe a bit earlier than necessary just to be sure that he could, because you have to be of sound mind and to be able to do the thing yourself. Otherwise, it's considered murder. In Pratchett's case, he didn't get to do it. By the time he would have probably wanted to, it was too late. He couldn't do it. He wasn't of sound mind anymore. He'd pretty much lost his ability to speak, and I guess his hands just like he forgot. He'd lost himself, and they put another. It's basically the same tale of another chap who ends up with motor neurone. It's like almost like I'm sure it was a BBC documentary, but it's like they'd almost forgotten they'd done the one with Pratchett years prior, and it was largely the same tale. The chap gets this illness. He's been given 2 years to live, and my God, he just wants to be done before he's trapped in his own body. But everyone else is saying, no, you can't do it. You should live life as best you can, without really thinking about he's got a degenerative disease where he's losing the ability to speak, he's losing the ability to walk, he's losing the ability to live under his own power. And it's humiliating to him. It's an interesting watch. I can't remember what it's called. I'll have to put it in somewhere, but it was interesting. So that was the start of the day, but not what I'd actually been thinking of, which is going to be the weird spin. 1 second. Oh no. I'm such a fat guy. It's weird how I managed to get all that in my beard, but yeah. Well. Sorry about that. Right. So, what I've been thinking about today is actually VTubers. It's going to sound really weird because I did a little bit yesterday about VTubing, and I put in a joke, not so much a joke, but I was feigning a bit of ignorance about VTubers, and I cut it out because I didn't think anyone would get that I was being sarcastic. But today I was just like, where did the whole VTuber thing come from? And the first thing that really came to my mind, which is going to sound really silly, because it was something I was a fan of years ago. I remember in the earlier days of my vlogging stuff on another time and place. I remember talking about Supersonico. And Supersonico is a mascot for Nitro Plus's music festival. They've been doing a music festival for years and years and years and years and years, and they gave the festival a mascot, and the mascot was Supersonico, and Supersonico has done like everything now. Albums, virtual doobries, she's been in fighting games. I've actually played some of the fighting games just because Sonico was in them, because they partnered up with Type Moon. So Nitro Plus is a visual novel company, and Type Moon did Fate Stay Night, Tsukahime. They do Tsukahime and Kano Kyokai, Garden of Sinners. I think they did that too. But they've done lots, and Nitro Plus comboed in with 5PB, and they did Chaos Head, Steins Gate, that stuff. So they've done a fair chunk, right? And I like their stuff. What was the fun game called? Nitro Plus Blasters Heroines, something like that. Heroines Battle, something like that. It's kind of fun, like just digging around as Sonico and punching people, and it's just great. Sonico's cool because she's this random character that if you ever see online, you'll know it's Sonico. Big pink hair, and she's always wearing headphones, right? Because I imagine she's always wearing the headphones because she's the mascot of a music festival. But that was one of the first times I'd kind of come across a virtual idol. And then I suppose the other one that most people know would be Hatsune Miku. And Miku is a Vocaloid. So she's not really a singer or anything, but she's a virtual singer, virtual artist. She's a virtual idol like Sonico. And loads of like albums, loads of games. There's like rhythm games with Miku. You can get pedals, guitar pedals. There's a Korg guitar pedal I wanted years ago that I could never afford. By the time I could afford it, it kind of went out of print and became a limited edition thing. It was a limited edition thing. It went out of print, and by the time I could actually afford the pedal, the price has gone through the roof. And I was like, oh, I'm never going to be able to have it. And what that basically was a pedal whereby you could play notes on your guitar, and Miku would sing based on the note that you played. You couldn't play chords on it. It didn't track very well, but it was fun. It was funny. It was goofy. And then they have other Miku style things. I think they're all actually by Korg. I don't know if what Korg has a part in doing this kind of stuff, but there are like other things where you can hook the module into like a MIDI keyboard or whatever, and Miku will sing. I think you can get Vocaloid packs as well, where you can get Miku to sing and come up with songs. As I say, games and music and all sorts of stuff. And I remember actually there was a Miku concert. I'm pretty sure it was Miku and another Vocaloid. I don't remember, but they were pretty big in Phantasy Star Online too. There would be Vocaloid events, virtual idol events in stuff like Phantasy Star, and it was rad. It was cool. And then I suppose, I don't know if they quite count, but like the Squid Sisters from Splatoon and Off the Hook. And I suppose Deep Cut now from the Splatoon series, where you have vocalists, processed vocalists, singing for these virtual characters like on stage. I guess KDA may fall into the same category as well. They're a virtual idol group. KDA being well, I can just remember it's Ari and Akali and Evie, and I forget the last member. They're characters from League of Legends, but they're in a group. This lot, and they've got their own branded doobies. I can never remember her name. I can never remember her name. I know I hate fighting against her. They have their own. They have their own band. It's kind of neat. They'll have like stage shows and people do the vocals for them, and that's neat. They have their own albums and all that. And then it just to go from all of this to now have it so that you or I, like a plaything for a corporation, to the point that now you or I could have a model mapped or made and rigged up, and then we could just run a piece of software on our computer and become virtual idols. Outside of VR too, because the idea of doing that kind of stuff in VR is one thing, but the idea of actually having an entire persona built around a model you have, like that you maybe have in VR, that you can also run on your computer separately, and the entire thing, it's not you, it's that character, is just, that's neat to me. And it's not something that I'm interested in necessarily doing myself, because like I said in yesterday's video, I have always been me. In everything that I do, I have always been me. Because I can't put on a character. Even if I did, you'd see through me in a heartbeat, because I am just, it's just this, me. I'm just this fucking loudmouth, foul-mouthed chucklehead. I don't do characters. I find that kind of stuff exhausting. But I suppose for people who don't want to have their face out there, they can have a recognisable character made, and let's say, for example, you are kind of nervous in front of a camera. Well, you don't have to worry about that, because it's not technically you, is it, that people are staring at, or that they're making fun of, or objectifying, or whatever. It's a character that you play. Or you can be yourself, your true self, but on top of that character. You know, things that you wouldn't be confident to do or say IRL in front of a camera, you could through these characters and that, and I find that interesting. So I was talking to my wife about it, and she doesn't like being on camera at all. And for someone who has been in photo shoots and stuff like that in years past, she really doesn't like the idea of being on camera, especially not video. Doesn't like it at all. The idea of being on live streams, she doesn't like either. She'll do a live stream, she will talk to you on a live stream, but she doesn't like being on camera. Makes her feel a bit uncomfortable. And even me, right, I've been on camera for years and years and years. I used to spend a lot of my time behind the camera filming other people. But then I started to get in front of the camera, and initially I had an issue where I couldn't talk to the camera. You know, I used to cover my face as part of a way to kind of cope with the idea of being on camera. It was a silly thing because I didn't need it. But here's a trick. To this day, if I'm holding the camera, if I'm in control, I can talk to the camera. If I'm holding the camera and you take that camera from me and continue to point it at me, I will hard freeze. Just lock up straight away. The uncomfortable feeling just goes right through the roof. And it's a really weird one. It's a tricky one to explain, but through the whole VTuber thing, I can see how that might be helpful to some people. You see it actually in VR chat. I know some people who are introverted as fuck. They don't like talking to big groups of people. But you put them in VR, and all of a sudden they just come out of their shells. They can do whatever they want. They can be whoever they want. I think within reason, of course. You don't want to go online and be an absolute asshole to people, but you don't have to worry about what people will think about you. It is the rawest form of you. There is no, race, religion, sexuality there. No one can judge you on how you look or how you dress because it's an avatar on screen. That avatar can change, if you wish, however you like it to be. So, as your taste change, whereas you as a human being can't. Like, I used to have big old long hair down to my ass. I'm an old man now. If you haven't noticed, I haven't got any. But if I still wanted it, well, I can either wear a wig at IRL, or I could have an Avi with my big long hair still. If you've ever had an injury or something and you found where you can't walk or whatever anymore, or there's certain things you can't do anymore, you can still do that stuff in VR. So I guess it's kind of a freeing experience, a liberating experience. You can be whoever, whatever you want to be. And you can put whoever you feel you are on that character, really without much fear, because it's not you. I can see that being a confidence boost. As I say, I'm not a huge fan of like when people take the camera off me. So yeah, but I just went on that process. So I was like, when was the first time I ever really thought of a virtual idol? Because I think it is HoloLive, isn't it? The Japanese idol company that specialises in virtual... Is it HoloLive? I don't know. But they have like a specific branch for virtual idols. And I do find it really neat that we have got to the point now where we can all do it. If you want to, you can. And it's really quite easy and really quite cheap. And you don't have to have super powerful hardware or whatever. You can see people, like really quite plain people, if you know what they look like outside, you can see them doing this whole VTuber thing and their confidence just goes through the roof. They're very different people because it's not being associated with who they are IRL. They can still go out IRL and have no one notice them and they blend into a crowd still, and that's neat because sometimes being recognised in public can be a bit like, I could see that also being a thing, which is why a lot of VTubers like to hide their faces and that. But yeah, that's just my thought process. It's now our plaything rather than a corporate plaything. But has anyone been interested in doing it? Because I know a few folks I know do the VTuber thing, and I have started watching a few VTubers and virtual streamers and stuff. But like I say, that's where I've kind of got the opinion of where people change on and off camera. They feel a lot more free. But my mate Shade has done it. Van has done it. I've dicked around in VR chat doing it. I know a couple of people who literally make videos just in VR chat, which I find is really fucking cool. Rather than like being here. I love making videos in VR chat. Absolutely love it. I've got the freedom to go anywhere I want, be whoever I want to be. With programs like Voice Mod and that, you can change the pitch and all that of your voice too, and it's neat. Anyway, I've been going on for a little too long. Just curious about VTubers and virtual idols and Vocaloids and all that kind of stuff. I wonder what people watch these days. Who do people watch these days? I don't know. I say it's cheap. Was it Face Rig, Animes, Misi Face, VTuber Studio? Is it VTuber Studio? That kind of thing. You can get Was it VTuber Studio, or what's the one that you use to actually make the model and the one that you can actually use? I don't remember. Well, I've got my phone here. I'd cut the video if I did, but I think it might be VTuber Studio. But just the way that you can just like make these really basic models, slap them into an app, and bam, you're done. Or you can pay a small fortune and get one professionally drawn, modelled, and rigged, and that's cool. You can literally be whoever, whatever you want to be. I think there's one model free with Animes. You can be a toilet roll, a roll of toilet paper if you really wanted to, or a cheeseburger. Or, you know, you can be anything. You can be a rock if you wanted to be. That's cool. You can build a whole personality around just that. You can be yourself if you want to be. You don't have to just be like me where you copy paste you into a virtual environment. But hey, this is who I'm comfortable being, so that's who I'm going to be. But I hope you're well. I'll see you all with a bit of luck in the next one. Sorry, random rant. All the best to anyone who wants to do it.